Recently, a few of you have asked me to review a High Carb Hannah video. Your wish is my command. Roll the titles.
For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow in stone for you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. As always, just a quick reminder that I'm now offering the SIBO, organic acid, stool test and consult via my website. So if you have any health or digestive problems, then consider taking these tests, as they will provide a lot of very detailed information upon which you can start making informed decisions and then start getting your health back on track. And on that bombshell, to the video.
Alright, so for breakfast, I am making some oatmeal.
Can't beat the day starting with oatmeal, so let's see what goodies are going in.
So I'm making oatmeal. I've been obsessed with this like berry compote. I don't know if that's what it's called. But I basically have been making, like, I take a bag of frozen berries, I add some water into a hot pan, and then I add some stevia and a little bit of vanilla, and I like cook it down, and it makes this amazing like sugar-free kind of syrupy deliciousness.
That sounds really good, although me personally, I probably wouldn't add the stevia in, as the berries and vanilla would be enough for me in terms of sweetness, but that's just me and each to their own, obviously.
My oats are done.
I don't know if that's just an optical illusion, but that looks like it's the biggest bowl of porridge ever.
The only word for it is...
Then I'm just going to put a chopped banana on top. There's nothing in the oats, it's just plain oats and water. Usually I add like stevia or something, but I'm just really in a rush today. So then I have my raspberry. I'm gonna do both. I just like to put this on top. It makes it look all fancy, and it's like jam, but...
That looks really good. I haven't had jam in years. Anyone else eat jam sandwiches as a kid?
Excuse me, Mr. and Mrs. Peterson. Could I have a jam sandwich, please?
It's like a sugar-free, healthy, homemade jam. Just add a little soy milk. That is it. How good does this look? Like stir it all up. It's my newest obsession. Also, if you put like PB2 powder on top of this, it basically tastes like peanut butter and jelly.
I'd tell you what would be belting on top of that would be to add a sprinkling of granola, just to give it a little crunch. But that breakfast is right up my street for sure. It's got a decent amount of fibre, a decent amount of calories, the proteins, vitamins and minerals are starting to creep up, and it will obviously taste belting. So let's see where Hannah goes for lunch.
For lunch, I'm gonna make some fries because I'm feeling super lazy. So I have these potatoes that I just pre-steamed.
A winner already for me. I could literally live off potatoes. I don't care if they're boiled, mashed, chipped or baked. I could literally eat them all day.
And I just keep them in a bowl in my fridge. I just put them in my Instant Pot for 6 minutes and I let it naturally release. And this just helps them to cook a little bit so that they don't dry out in the air fryer, and it helps them just keep their moisture. And I feel like they taste like just way better. So I'm just gonna chop these into fry shapes. And my go-to seasoning lately has just been a little bit of chili powder.
That is exactly how I love food. Simple and super tasty. Forget all of the YouTubers and TikTokers with their 45 ingredients. Chips and spices is all you need to be winning at life.
I do a little bit of smoked paprika. Maybe 1/4 teaspoon. I use some of this Arizona habanero hot pepper blend, and then just some garlic salt. And you just want to shake these up. And then I'm just going to put these in my air fryer basket, and I will cook these in the air fryer on 400 for about 15 minutes, and then I'll check them. Usually they get pretty crispy after 15 minutes, but sometimes these big russet potatoes take a little bit longer to cook, so I'll just do 15 minutes and check them because I don't want them to burn.
Not really too much to say other than belting. Potatoes are such good staple foods. They are very cheap, versatile, and also loaded with nutrition. Vitamin C, B6, potassium, manganese, magnesium, phosphorus, niacin, folate. The list literally goes on and on, plus obviously a decent amount of fibre. And pound for pound at their price point, I don't think there are too many healthy foods that compete.
All right, these look perfect. I'm just gonna have these with a little bit of this ketchup.
Imagine those in a sandwich with thick, crunchy slices of bread. Just a shame I can't eat any gluten in any shape or form, but for those of you who can partake in a chip butty,
yeah!
So yum.
yeah, they look really good. I was just thinking while watching there, I would probably load these up, something like you can see on screen. Some sliced almonds, chili peppers, garlic powder, tamari sauce, apple cider vinegar, olives, avocado, cherry tomatoes, jalapenos, and spring onions. And for those of you who like vegan cheeses, etc., then you could add some of that on top. But that's the good thing about potatoes, like Hannah is doing. They are so versatile and they go with absolutely everything. So let's see where Hannah is going for her dinner.
Okay guys, so for dinner, I'm gonna make my chickpea noodle soup. I've been obsessed with this soup lately. It is so nourishing and comforting, and I was feeling like a little bit under the weather a while ago, and I had this soup and I've been obsessed with it ever since. So
again, noodles and soup are always a winning combo, and they are great comfort foods during the winter or when you have been feeling under the weather as Hannah has.
to get started, I have some chopped garlic, onion, zucchini, and carrots, and I have this recipe on my website.
Are there any other freaks out there like me who love garlic bread, for example, but the smell of garlic in a dish or the smell of garlic on your fingers makes you want to upchuck?
What? Nothing.
No,
I guess it's just me then.
So I will link that below for you guys because I'm kind of using up extra stuff today, but the actual recipe is on my website. So I just have this over high heat and I'm just going to add this in here and saute it for a little bit. I'm also going to add in about half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of turmeric.
Again, I always like the simplicity of Hannah's food. Simple ingredients, spices, and you always end up with really tasty food.
So I usually use Better Than Bouillon for this, but I have these not chicken bouillon cubes, and I'm just going to use these. So now I'm just going to add in 6 cups of water and bring this up to a boil and let this cook for a little bit. And now I'm going to add in my noodles. So I have 10 ounces of spaghetti noodles here.
If there is anyone who doesn't like spaghetti noodles, then do yourself a favour and hit the unsubscribe button on your way out.
You, get out!
On the recipe on my website, I think I use 6 ounces. But I like it to be really noodly, so I'm adding in extra. And I'm just using this spaghetti, organic spaghetti pasta. Sometimes I'll use rice pasta, sometimes I'll use like the chickpea pasta, but today I'm just using this. I've been making it with this for a while and it's very reminiscent of the way that my mom used to make chicken noodle soup, so I like the long noodles.
Never tried them. I will have to see if I can get hold of some of them.
And you'll just want to cook the noodles according to the package. So these I need to cook for 12 minutes. So I will just let it do that. And then once that is done, we'll add in the rest of the ingredients and then it's basically done. All right, so my noodles are done. You want to kind of cook them al dente.
These freaks who go keto or carnivore, how on earth do they go without potatoes or spaghetti? It literally baffles me.
And then you can basically just turn it off because it is going to cook a little bit more just because the water is so boiling. So then I just have some peas and corn. These are just frozen peas and corn that have green beans and carrots in them. I like to add that in there right away to just cool it down.
Again, really simple ingredients, but just things that will keep adding decent flavors to the recipe.
I'm also going to add in some miso just because I have it, but it is not necessary.
Awesome, some salty and tangy flavours there to round everything off.
It's not in the recipe on my website, so it's totally optional. And then I like to add in a little sprinkling of nutritional yeast, just like a teaspoon or a tablespoon or so.
I like a lot.
I have a can of chickpeas that I've rinsed and drained here. And the recipe on my website also has a block of tofu in there. I don't have any tofu right now, so I'm just making it without it. And if you guys want to keep it lower fat, it's just as good without the tofu. So you definitely don't need to add the tofu into the recipe. I make it a lot of times just with the chickpeas and it's great.
Yes, again, that's great. The tofu would also be great in there and would add in some additional nutrients such as protein, calcium, copper, selenium, vitamin A and iron, to name a few.
And then I'm going to add into here a ton of kale. This is probably 4 cups, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit all of it in there. And this will just wilt because it's so hot. That is pretty much it. I will eat this entire thing in like 2 days. It's so filling, so nourishing, so delicious. You guys have to try it. If you love chicken noodle soup, it is just amazing. And I am totally obsessed with it.
Again, another great ingredient. Kale, as we all know, is great for things like fibre, potassium, calcium, iron, and also folate. Looks belting, so let's just have a quick total up of that day of eating. In terms of calories, I would say Hannah was around 2,000 to maybe 2,300 at the upper end, depending on what she actually ate, but this is perfectly fine for someone who is active like Hannah. Fibre, I would say, would probably been upwards of 70 to 80 grams. Fats, I would have liked to see a bit higher, particularly the omega-3s and 6s, but this is obviously an isolated day of eating, and I have no way of knowing whether this is something that Hannah supplements. Proteins were generally very good across the board, as were Hannah's vitamin and mineral intakes. The only thing that I would say is that the vitamin E and calcium levels were a little bit on the lower end, but again, this is an isolated day of eating. I would also say that I didn't see too much in the way of iodine. Iodine is so important for many functions in the body, and although foods like potatoes have some iodine in them, depending on the soil quality, you really wouldn't want to rely on these types of foods for your iodine requirements. So look at foods like sea vegetables, or if you're really not keen on sea vegetables, then supplement or use iodine salt. Either way, it's super important you are getting good sources in your diet. And again, Hannah here may have been supplementing. As a whole, a great day of eating with some belting food. And if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to check out this one up here because I'm sure you'll find it equally interesting. And the only other thing that's left for me to say is to remember to look after your body because it's the only place you have to live. And I'll see you next time.